golden night, no time for pleasure.
The world is not enough.
I think I'm sure that's it. I'm sure. Usually
Isn't that what it is? Hey guys, just want to let you know some of the names of the Bond girls we're going to be discussing are a little bit on the explicit side, so that's just your warning.
Beware.
Beware.
Hey everybody, welcome to Franchise Unpacked. This is Dave.
And this is Zach.
We are talking about one of my favorites today. This is going to be a good one.
Oh yeah.
Zach's a little hesitant.
I'm hesitant because I don't know as much about this particular topic as our great friend Dave here, but
It's gonna be good.
I'll let you introduce it, Dave.
It'll be fun. You've clicked on the episode already, but as you know, It is James Bond.
Yes. That was
007.
This is totally random. It is on topic for those listeners who are worried about us totally topic hopping. The first song that I ever taught myself on guitar was the
John Barry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the John Barry composed the theme song used in Dr. No, but we'll get into it.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
Is this going to be our 7th episode too?
I think that, oh my goodness,
7. We didn't even plan it. You guys, I swear we didn't plan
100% unplanned.
That is, see, that's the magic.
Yeah.
Zach the magic you get as a listener.
Right. We get together in a room, we record a podcast, magic happens.
And it's just like kind of the fates align.
Yes,
universes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and it was a lot of fun last week too, having Matt on, calling in from LA, and
that was great. Yeah. By the way, everyone, shout out to Matt, our first guest. If you haven't listened to it, Mega Man was our last episode. We had our first guest on.
And it was interesting to edit because, I was getting his audio in from a different recording device across the country with like lag times and things like that. But little peek behind the curtain though. It was a lot of fun though. It was a good time.
It was great. And it turned out great. He sounded awesome. And yeah, we had a blast. And everybody, while we're on that topic, check us out on Instagram. We're getting some great followers, a bunch of likes now. Some of our posts. We're running competitions now, guys. We got some exciting stuff coming up in the next couple of months. Some great things, some good announcements, fun events.
We were just thinking about it, and it seemed like it made the most sense to do things like giveaways. I mean, I don't know. For me, as just a fan of all these franchises, I would want to get some swag, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I have that Mega Man light. That's what I took the promo pictures for.
I want one.
I know I mean,
wanted to tag friends on Instagram.
Yeah, maybe we'll just.
But we will be announcing that very soon, probably right before or right around when this episode drops.
Yeah.
So be looking out as well as listening to the episode. Yeah. So we will be announcing the winner.
For sure.
Very soon. But anyway, back to James Bond, topic of the episode. Commander James Bond, I should say, of the Royal British Navy. He was created by Ian Fleming back in 1952 is when he began work on James Bond. Yeah. He, in total, wrote 12 novels and 2 short story collections. The final 2 books were released posthumously after his death. Which were Man with the Golden Gun and the title Octopussy and the Living Daylights. That was the full title, which they split up into Octopussy and the Living Daylights were 2 separate films.
Right.
As we all know. But
I'm over here saying right and nodding, but I'm like, I have no idea.
A fun little fact, in 1952, Ian Fleming went to his Jamaican estate, Goldeneye. It was named Goldeneye, so that's why it gets that name.
All right.
There it is. He went there to escape the stress of his upcoming nuptials. He was getting married to his pregnant girlfriend at the time. So he was like, he had served in World War II. He had always wanted to write a spy novel or something along those lines. And so he sat down and just started pumping them out. With Casino Royale.
I guess I didn't even, and maybe this is just like super ignorant of me, but like before we started like researching this and getting into it, I didn't even know that they were novels.
Oh, really?
Like in my mind, it was just like the films and the video games. Like
they started, but they started. It was inspired by Ian Fleming's. There's a few different stories of what inspired the character of James Bond and kind of like his experience in MI6.
Right, because wasn't there an actual spy that sort of inspired that?
I think what I read was that he served in he was inspired by a lot of commandos back in the day in World War II. He was part of the Naval Intelligence Division in Britain. They did a lot of great stuff, and they were formed before World War II. In fact, there's another fun fact I'll get to in a second involving them. But he met a lot of commandos. He said there were a lot of guys stationed in France, Germany. They were kind of all over Europe. So he met these guys. Knew a lot of languages, knew how to charm their way into places. And then also I read, and this could be rumor, that Christopher Lee, actor R.I.P. Sir Christopher Lee, Saruman the White, we all know, amongst many other things, also plays Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun, the bad guy, is Ian Fleming's step cousin. And he was also part of the SAS back in World War II. So I believe, from what I understand, Christopher Lee tortured Nazis. What? Straight up. Yeah.
That's new information to me.
Hardcore. And some of his stories helped inspire Ian Fleming's Nazi torturing days. I mean, hey, torture. And they said to death. Like he knows, there was a quote I know, Christopher Lee said that he was helping Peter Jackson during Lord of the Rings with the sound of a sword going into someone's flesh or something. He goes, that's not what that sounds like. And he goes, how do you know? He's like, I know what the sound of a knife going into somebody's body is. Or something along those lines. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, like, we will take your word for it.
Okay, Christopher Lee. But yeah, like I said, he played the famous three-nippled villain, Scaramanga, in Man with the Golden Gun, which was a Roger Moore, which is my favorite of the Roger Moore saga, which are notably the goofier, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
A couple two little quick facts. His name, James Bond, was inspired by an ornithologist, a bird watcher.
I was going to say, I have no idea what ornithology is. It sounds like a dirty word.
In layman's terms, a bird watcher. So it is a very dirty word.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're always saying bird watcher. They're always in trees, like in Back to the Future.
That's true.
Bird watching. No, you're watching people change into their undies.
Come on, you ornithologist.
Yeah, orno. Sorry for all our ornithologist fans.
Yeah, if any ornithologists are listening,
we love you and we love those.
Please address your hate mail to Disney.com.
Please sit outside in a tree and watch us record. It'll be great.
Right, exactly.
We invite you. But James Bond, Ian Fleming said that he wanted the dullest name possible. And he was looking on his bookshelf one day, and Ian Fleming himself was into bird watching. And one of his books on ornithology was written by a man named James Bond.
Really?
And he said, this is a quote, "My God, that's the dullest name I've ever heard." And then years later, he actually met the James Bond, who's this British, exactly how you'd imagine, this dry British-looking guy. But he said him and his wife were a very charming couple.
It's so strange to me to think of, like, because in my mind, James Bond is an action-packed name, right? But it's because I know James Bond as James Bond.
He was like, well, he's a spy. He needs a moniker that will, just no one will think twice about, sort of, if it's used, which he does a lot. And we'll also get into that. James Bond's a little sloppy as a spy.
Oh, we'll absolutely.
And then 007, the code number, is a reference to back how we mentioned that he was part of the Naval Intelligence Division in World War I. The part of what that NID was doing, they were intercepting German code. And there was a document labeled 0075. And it was decoded and cracked, and it was a major factor that brought the U.S. into the war. It was a huge moment for that Naval Intelligence Division, and a huge turning point for the war.
Wow!
And so it's 0075. He took the first three. Right. 007. But yeah, we'll get into it now. Wow. I mean, what was so you're saying you don't have too much experience.
No,
what was your first memory of James Bond?
My first memory of James Bond is the video game for N64.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, getting into GoldenEye there. My older brother would play it and have his buddies over.
Well, now how old were you? Everybody had it when it came out, which was in 97.
97. So I would have been 7 when it came out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Which was probably maybe a bit mature of a game for me to be watching.
Oh, sure.
As a 7-year-old, but my brother is 7 years older than I am, as we've discussed on the show before. So I was kind of exposed to that, a little bit early.
And it kind of didn't matter for this game. It was one of those games where if your parents told you no, you couldn't get it because of violence, you looked them right in the eye. And it was the first time they saw maturity, and you said, no, I will have this game.
I will get the golden gun.
Yeah, you don't understand. And we're saying this in jest, but I will never forget saying at a Boy Scouts of America meeting that this is the greatest game that will ever be created. After playing it for the first time. I never, clear as day, remember saying that to friends. It was that game,
and I mean, we'll get into the games here in a minute, but that game was just revolutionary for on
a lot of fronts.
Yeah, on a lot of fronts. But that was so. GoldenEye for N64 was my first James Bond experience, and in all honesty, I don't have a ton outside of that. I think I might have watched one of the Pierce Brosnan movies.
GoldenEye, I hope, because that's his best one.
I think it was GoldenEye.
It is amazing.
And I think I've seen one of the Daniel Craig ones. No. Ooh. I think I saw two of. Which one had Halle Berry? Which one had Halle Berry?
That's you see, that's Die Another Day with Pierce Brosnan.
That is Brosnan. Okay, so I think I saw two of them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bad one. That was the one that they said, "Oh, this is it," and there was like they were changing hands at that point. That was the last Pierce Brosnan. I feel like they're like, let's just go bananas. It was like a satellite laser, and
it was
an Asian turned into a white guy. That was super offensive. Seriously, the plot was hinged.
I don't even remember it.
It's super offensive. The main bad guy started out as like a North Korean general who then undergoes crazy plastic surgery for years to become a foppish white guy to disguise himself. And you're like, whoa. They just whitewashed the hell out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Unapologetically.
And then after that, I saw, it was one of the Daniel Craig ones. I'm so bad with the names of these movies, by the way.
Well, Daniel Craig started with Casino Royale. They were rebooting the series, and that was the first book ever written.
I remember they were in some sort of like cabin in the middle of nowhere.
That... either Skyfall. Oh, that's a Skyfall estate when he goes back to his family estate.
Yes.
In Scotland.
Skyfall was the one that I saw. I really enjoyed Skyfall.
Amazing. He Home Alones them.
Yeah,
that's
he really does.
He legit. I learned to put a shotgun shell in your light fixture, so when someone turns on the light, wha-bam,
kaboom!
Ooh, Kevin McAllister, 1. Wet Bandits, a 0.
Right.
That's
which, by the way, it's actually on our list to cover Home Alone at some point
because there's an amazing video game that I remember. But we digress.
Was it the SNES? I think was that.
Oh, I had it for Game Gear.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, they're probably the same.
Total digression.
Anyway, but Casino Royale. There was Quantum of Solace, which was not good with Daniel Craig. That was like a direct sequel to Casino Royale. And it was only an hour and a half long, and it was just ugh.
Really.
And then there was Skyfall,
which I need to see. I've heard great things about Skyfall.
Skyfall's the one you saw with them in the house.
Oh wait, not
Spectre
Skyfall.
is the newest one.
Spectre. I heard good things about Spectre.
Good. There are good things and there are bad things. We'll get there. We'll get there.
You see, guys, this is a living example of how bad I am with the titles of these.
The names are crazy.
I know. It's like Skyfall and Spectre and Quantum of Solace.
How many golden rakers and
right, exactly. So there have been a few that I've seen, and I've of course caught clips of 1,000 of them, because there are about 1,000 of them now. But no, I mean it's one of those series that every time I watch one, I just have a good time. Like it's not one that I've gone and like sought out because I'm not a huge action movie guy on my own. But whenever it's on, or if somebody has a copy of it or invites me to go see it, it's just a good time. Like I think that one thing that I love about the whole franchise is it definitely takes itself a little bit seriously, but it never takes itself too horribly seriously.
Sure.
Like it knows exactly what it is. And it plays to that.
Yeah. Well, like we said earlier, I would think that James Bond is a terrible spy.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of murder and mayhem, the cost, the international disasters that he has accrued. I mean, they kind of cover it a little bit better in the beginning of Casino Royale. He breaks into like an African diplomatic building,
right?
It basically shoots and blows up the whole place. And they're like, you cannot do that,
right?
Okay,
right.
We just gave you 00 status, cut it out. So they're always reprimanding him. He's an alcoholic, like heavy alcoholic, and that's what I like in the Daniel Craig movies. They kind of got it right. He, especially in Casino Royale, he murders dudes in a stairwell with his bare hands, basically. And first thing he does, he pours himself a big old glass of scotch, and shakes and downs it, and just stares at himself in the mirror.
Well, and that's a little bit of that old school stereotype. I mean, I mean, and I hate to stereotype like that, but I feel like that specific type of, hard alcoholism in relationship to that kind of job. Yeah. I feel like that's it's a remnant of the wartime. You know what I mean? It's a remnant of,
but I mean, it's also like, no matter what, it shows a vulnerability to him.
Right.
You're like, no matter what, this might be the hardest man we've ever seen. He's the super spy, but oh man, he also, those are demons that will haunt him for for who knows. But, and why he is so distant from women, and there's always a new girl, you can't settle down. But that is another kind of plays into his whole demeanor. He's suave. He rarely uses a code name. And when he does, he usually just goes, nah, I'm actually James Bond. He's like, let him know. Yeah. James Bond's here. And you're like,
well, what are you going to do if James Bond walks
shows up
into
in your casino? You're like, oh, crap.
Yeah. We're all dead.
And one of the great tropes, a little bit of my history was I remember it always being in the zeitgeist. It was James Bond always. I remember watching them. They would air them during Thanksgiving. And as a kid, my grandma coming over and watching us when we were kids. And she's like, oh, we got a Sean Connery one on this weekend. It's Gold. I remember Goldfinger was my first James Bond movie. And Goldfinger, for those of you who don't know, Goldfinger was released in 1964. It's the third James Bond movie to be released. And many would call it the first formative James Bond. It's with, you got your villain, you've got your henchman, you got your Bond strapped to a table with the laser. It brings the very famous line, "Do you expect me to talk?" And he goes, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." Or Goldfinger. Great. Odd Job. That brings Odd Job from Goldeneye. Many will remember, which I always had a question about that. Odd Job in Goldeneye is in the video game is considered to be cheating because he's the shortest character. So you will literally shoot over him. So it's kind of a cheat. In the movie, he's not a short man. He was actually a professional wrestler. The man they hired to play Odd Job. He's a big strapping dude. He takes on Sean Connery like with fisticuffs. I'm wondering if they mischaracterized him, if he was supposed to be Knick Knack, who is a little person from The Man with the Golden, played famously by Hervé Villechaize. So like, I wonder who was the probably one of the only famous littler people characters in the James Bond series. Yeah. But there are 24 Eon films. Yeah. There are some, like I say, Never Say Never Again was in '83. Sean Connery came back to the series. And they claim that Never Say Never Again, the title came from his wife saying, "Oh, you said you'd never play him again? We'll never say never again. You'll never say never again." Yeah. But Sean Connery has some very laughable career choices. That we'll probably cover later on. But there are, in order, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was played by the only single time James Bond, George Lazenby. He was only in one movie because the movie was terrible. Really? And he was a real weirdo jerk. Oh, sorry, weird. George Lazenby. If I know you have like Google alerts for your name.
Right. He's like, finally, they're speaking about me.
Now we're going to get sued by George. He'll join up with Walt. Right. George and Walt will click down action. Our door. He's like, just join mine. I'm already got these boys in court. But he's speaking of his alcoholism, his famous drink is vodka martini, shaken not stirred, as we all know. I know I missed that. Then you had Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights, License to Kill, Goldeneye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and then the titled Bond 25 release date 2020. Is what they're saying, and it will be Daniel Craig's last. Because then aren't they considering what's his name, Idris Elba? That's always the rumor, and it's always I feel like they just bring it in because like it'll be a black James Bond, and they just want to stir everybody up, and I'm like, cool. Well, it brings me to a point. I have a question. Have you heard the theory that James Bond is a title? And that there are several different. There has been would actually. So there's a fan theory that I don't subscribe to. But personally, but it's a theory that not only 007 is a code, James Bond, the name is a code given to each iteration. And so Sean Connery retired and then George Lazenby took over, or Roger Moore takes over. But they never mention it. Except in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, George Lazenby does a take to the camera and says, or the old guy didn't have to deal with this, or something like that. Oh, okay. So like another reason why that movie cheeky is terrible. And But so how do you feel about that? Saying that there have been literally, until I guess the Daniel Craig reboot, all of those were just another guy taking over and becoming James Bond. I guess I could see that being the case. I mean, I don't know. The fact they change it up all the time, there are some shows that do that regardless, you know what I mean? Or like Doctor Who, for example. Yeah. But they're very explanatory about that. Yeah, that's like an actual plot point. So I don't know. I could see it being a thing, but my gut says that's not the case. My gut says it's just they're making new movies. I agree. And telling new stories. Not necessarily rebooting. He's a man of the times. That's another thing about James Bond. He's great for movies, not just books, but because he was always mentioned. He was always wearing the Timex or the Naval Watch he was always driving a BMW, Aston Martin. Always had his clothes were always of the time. Sure. The women were wearing those clothes. They were selling the liquor. It was liquor ads too. Well, it was always. So I think you just keep it up with the time, and he is just nonstop there. Right. He was always. And I kind of see it in the same way as Batman or Superman or anybody. Exactly. They have different actors. They have almost different universes. You know what I mean? That are built based on the director and the actors. But it's all Batman. It's all still the same superhero, Like, I don't like to think that Pierce Brosnan also battled Goldfinger. Because that does not make sense. Like there are some of the movies where they give a little bit of the history, like, oh, you just got your 00, or like this, that, the other. Right. But it could, like you said, the movies do not should not tie into each other, unlike Casino Royale and Quantum. That's like a
Right.
direct sequel. They rarely do have
Yeah.
through lines, so they can be placed anytime in his career.
See, that was going to be
really.
one of my questions to you is there a through line with each actor, not going actor to actor?
Daniel Craig, yes.
Okay.
And the thing is too, I don't know, spoiler alert a little bit, but for Spectre, they tie all of his movies into each other, into a universe that has been happening in a timeline. But with everybody being all excited for universe building,
Yeah.
it just they really just jumped the shark. They did
Yeah.
this sloppy, but it was cool, but not cool.
Well, are they pulling like a J.K. Rowling where it's like, oh yeah, it absolutely makes sense that whatever,
without spoiling too much, it's all the bad guys you've been dealing with, they've all been under my command and they've all been leading. And you're like, holy crap, if that's the case,
Right.
all of this hinges on the craziest amount of circumstance and
Right.
time. It's crazy. So
I can't stand on
because Spectre. The title Spectre refers to the criminal organization of Spectre.
Okay.
They have always been a through line of the James Bond series, even back in the Sean Connery days. Or
and this is getting into like kind of the present
Spectre.
of the franchise.
Yes, we're getting a little bit into the present of it. And also, another thing James Bond has been of the times, the music. The theme music, there are a few that are just orchestral, which on Her Majesty's Secret Service is strictly orchestra, and it's one of my favorite theme songs. One of the worst movies.
Yeah.
But you might recognize a few of these names who have sang title themes. Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, Nancy Sinatra, and Paul McCartney did probably the crowd favorite of Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney and the Wings. Then Carly Simon. I love Carly Simon's. A lot of people might not know this, but if you've heard the song Nobody Does It Better.
I don't know.
Nobody does it better.
I don't think I know that
one.
one.
It's a very beautiful Carly Simon song, but that's from The Spy Who Loved Me. She does say, like heaven above me, the spy who loved me is keeping all my secrets.
So, and not to totally diverge from the music part of it, but I keep thinking back to how much James Bond has inspired other series. Like, you look at Austin Powers, and it's The Spy Who Shagged Me, and you know what I mean, like. And
music like the Secret Agent Man, which is used in that's a Johnny Rivers song from like '68 or something, but it was of that era. So a rock star decided to mimic of the era, James Bond's theme for a song.
I don't know. I think that and while we're still kind of in the in between of past and present of the franchise, I just wanted to touch on kind of that influence, going into like the Austin Powers territory, which really was like a very direct. We are James Bond, but comedy.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Evil is Blofeld of Spectre.
Yeah.
Bald guy, scar, petting a cat.
Well, and
literally exactly.
Well, and especially with video games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've only played 2 of the Bond video games.
Okay. I played a bunch.
To any like real extent. The first one was James Bond Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Which really, looking back, was a terrible game.
A side scroller, right?
Yeah, it did not control well. Everything blew you up.
Well, that was what based off of a cartoon, James Bond Jr.
Yes,
of the time.
I think so. Yeah. And then the other one that I had played a lot was GoldenEye with my brother.
4-player split screen. That was revolutionary.
Yeah. And I never got to play the remake of it because they remade it for the Wii.
With Daniel Craig.
Well, for the Wii,
for
right?
the Wii, but it was starring Daniel Craig.
Really? I didn't know that.
It was of this era.
Okay.
Same map layouts, all updated stuff, like 10-15 years later or whatever.
Well, and from what I saw, somebody made I don't know if this was like a hack of the game or what, but they made like a source version, like Counter-Strike Source GoldenEye.
I was just about to get to that.
Well, okay.
They're in production of it. It is a crowdsourced called GoldenEye 25. Slate release 2022 for the 25th anniversary of GoldenEye.
All right. I'll be up for that.
Unreal Engine port. A full, beautiful, like what they've been doing with all this, which I'm hoping like we get a Mario 64 or something like that. But whatever system, I'm sure it'll be on Switch, but GoldenEye 25.
Right.
That I cannot wait for. That's kind of a future of the franchise. I'm waiting for that. I'm also, while we're on the topic of the video games, like I said, my experience was I started watching the movies. We watched all the ones when GoldenEye came out. I remember not being able to see it I was only 9 at the time. So my mom saw it in theaters, but she's like, no, it's a little adult. But the next one that came out, she's like, okay, we'll see GoldenEye. They got me the game GoldenEye. I saw it on VHS, watched it religiously. I could probably quote the whole thing. Because of the game. I was playing it in tandem with the game, which is, I was going to bring up to you, a lot of our franchises we discuss, we inundate ourselves with from all. I get obsessed almost. Like I'll get into a kick of, oh, if a Star Wars movie's coming out, I'm going to play all the Star Wars games.
Right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to surround myself in this world.
Yeah. Build up to it.
Hope for the best. Yeah. And just build up to it. And that's what just diving into that pool. And that's a great thing about James Bond. There was James Bond Racing. I have this game, Everything or Nothing, which starred Pierce Brosnan. It was a third
for
person.
the GameCube.
For GameCube of that generation. I have a Quantum of Solace game for Wii, which terrible movie, even worse game.
Well, and I was watching for a lot of these games that I hadn't played, I was just going on and watching gameplay footage, and some of them actually looked kind of neat. Like they looked nice.
Agent Underfire and Nightfire, both for GameCube, amazing. Basically, I would call them the closest thing to GoldenEye because you got all these fun gadgets on top of being split screen first-person shooter.
And that's half the fun, of like a James Bond game is you have to have those gadgets. Like
really good maps. You can play at Fort Knox, like from Goldfinger.
Yeah, well,
you can play
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
When you were playing GoldenEye with your friends, four-player split screen, did you do mines, rocket launchers, or slaps?
Oh, we did everything. We created a mode called Resident Evil, which was slappers only. One person would have -10 handicap health and could use weapons, could use automatic weapons. It was set to automatic weapons, but the 3 other players were called zombies. They had to crouch.
Oh, that's so
only
cool.
use slappers, but they had +10 handicap health.
Okay.
So you had a guy with automatic weapons being able to hammer away at you, but if they slapped him once, he was dead.
Right.
So we would see how long you could last. You'd have a timed match.
This will be like a very short digression, but that's almost exactly how that video game Left 4 Dead was created.
Yeah.
Because they were playing Half-Life.
Okay.
And they programmed in a bunch of zombies to to come at you at once.
That makes sense.
I think it was Half-Life. It might have been Counter-Strike. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Counter-Strike Source.
Sure.
And they programmed a bunch of bots with knives to come at you, and they were like, "We need to make this a game." That's incredible. I would love to play the zombie mode on.
We got creative. We played GoldenEye so much. For reference, you had to beat levels in single player mode to get the cheat code under a certain time, under a certain difficulty.
Right.
Facility, which is the second level where you're in the bathroom, the Facility, famous, one of my favorites. Also, Remote Mines Facility, great multiplayer. But Facility, 00 Agent, 2 minutes, 30 seconds to get invincibility. I'll never forget that because Zach, I tell you, hours.
Wow.
And then when I did beat it, I beat it by like 5-6 seconds. You know, beat the hell out of the time. I will never forget 2.5 minutes on 00 Agent to get invincibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was so specific. One of the NPC characters you had to talk to, Dr. Doak, who was the scientist, which was a random character, wasn't in the movie. You just had to run into him and get I think a key card or something. That was like one of your objectives. If he was not in he would spawn in 3 different rooms in the map, and so when you started the level, you never knew where he was. So it kind of make it a fun, different level almost. Slightly different experience. But if he was not in a specific room, you had to restart. There was
and I
learned that from Nintendo
Power.
They told me, they're like, you have to restart. He has to be in a path where you literally run by him in the hallway to get the card and keep going.
GoldenEye for the N64, that was a hard game. Like that was not an easy game.
There was slight auto aim assist. Maybe.
Yeah, but they were still figuring out
aim. You had to hold R to aim manually and stuff like that.
And that was the first, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first 3D, like true 3D first-person shooter where you could actually aim up and down and left and right.
Yeah, like Doom and Wolfenstein and stuff like that were of that first-person genre, but they weren't
true 3D.
Like yeah. And I mean, it was just the music in the game. It was incredible. It was produced by Rare.
Yeah, Rare was making some
Perfect
great
Dark
games.
they called the unofficial sequel,
like the spiritual successor
to it a couple years.
I've never actually played
Incredible.
Perfect Dark.
It had a co-op mode for this whole story too, which was amazing. Yeah, we should just play it.
Yeah, I'm down. I have
it for N64.
I was gonna say I got it, but I only have GoldenEye, I think.
Oh, and folks, we're gonna take pictures too. I brought some movies.
Yeah, Dave's got a stack of like VHS, DVDs,
things I found. Like we moved into our new house a few months ago, and I'm still unpacking our basement. But this is what I could find so far.
Hey, it works. It looks kind of awesome here.
But yeah, we'll kind of get a little bit into the future of the franchise. I would love to, on top of GoldenEye 25, I would like to see another James Bond racing game with all vehicles.
That'd be cool.
There was James Bond Racing, I believe it was only the cars, which is awesome. They're all equipped with weapons, you know, the Aston Martins and BMWs and the Lotus and all throughout the ages. But he uses boats, he uses planes, helicopters.
They could make it like a modern day Diddy Kong racing.
Yes,
yeah, where like you can be racing.
A little cartoony too.
Yeah, you can race against a helicopter.
Super stylized 60s James Bond.
Ooh, I'd be all about that.
That style. And then I also, did you ever hear of the game Evil Genius? It was a top-down strategy game.
I don't think that I have.
You'd pick an evil genius and then you'd build their base and you would get invaded by
Really?
spies. And it was super 60s Incredibles style artwork.
Is it like, is it newish?
No, it's old, years old. I was still in high school, I
awesome.
think, when it came out. Check it out. It's on Steam.
Okay.
You would love it. It's a top-down
Evil Genius.
Serious, and it's probably like $3 or something.
Yeah, it's
but
like
it was
next to nothing.
one of the characters was Blofeld, like a bald guy with a gray suit,
right?
Like Dr. Evil, and you'd build traps and you'd upgrade and you'd have minions running around. You'd have to keep them happy. It's one of those.
That's
games.
awesome.
So keeping like the company running.
Of like
so
minions,
I love that. I love an official James Bond that style strategy game.
I love the idea of like the henchmen and the minions in these movies and like they poked fun. What movie was it? There was some Marvel movie I think where the hero is going through and wiping out all the henchmen, and then one guy goes, please don't kill me. I hate working here. They're so weird.
Yeah, I hate working here. They're so weird. They're red shirts. Yeah, they just get annihilated by James Bond.
Oh, absolutely.
Who's a tidal wave of force.
Right.
Or you've got your crazy cool henchmen like Oddjob, Knick Knack. You've got Jaws. Big old
with the creepy teeth,
played by Richard Kiel, who people will recognize him from Happy Gilmore. He plays Happy Gilmore's boss on the construction site. I believe that jacket belongs to Mr. Gilmore. Play where it lies, shooter.
Before we get too far into the future of the franchise, I wanted to ask you a question and kind of get your take on something. And also, we'll put a warning at the beginning of this episode as well that there's some language with
could be a little explicit. It's James Bond,
and it's not necessarily explicit language. It's just the character names and the names of the. But my question to you is, how do you think that his relationship with these women have evolved over the years? Because, I mean, from what I can tell anyway, it used to be this really, really blatant just objectification.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Sean Connery slaps women around. In those early films. It has gone from that where that was okay. Where people were like, "Oh yeah," they didn't even think twice about that. Well, like we're rewatching Mad Men. My wife, I'm rewatching it. My wife's watching it for the first time, and it's the same thing. Watching you gasp almost. Yeah, but it's just how it was. Well,
because in the more recent ones, it seems like the female roles they kind of hold some weight, and they kind of hold their own, and they
if not integral to the plot.
Yeah,
if they're not playing like a scientist or someone who is very key to the plot. They save James or are to a point where he makes a realization or just didn't put up with his garbage. The biggest thing about Vesper Lynd from Casino Royale, played by Ava Green, she just didn't put up with the stuff. So they have progressed through, and it's a funny thing too. Their names, you get Pussy Galore from Goldfinger and these Xenia Onatop from Goldeneye. I hope you stay on the top of things, James. But yeah, it's just these cringeworthy, because I feel like at the time it was a sexual. He's always been a sexual character.
Well, yeah,
it's like Dracula and vampires. They use their sexuality. That's part of his ability.
Well, in that time, like that was really what sold. I mean, that was.
Oh yeah, it was
any of those movies from that era.
Beautiful women in bikinis, on these exotic locations with this man who flies in.
Yeah.
For a day.
I do think it's so cool though that now it's in this realm of, hey, they're not just, there for eye candy.
Yeah.
Like
they're not there to get painted to
They're not there for eye candy, period. They're there to like kick some butt with him and to actually serve as a function of the story.
Yeah, they're not a damsel in distress.
Right.
Yeah, they're very
exactly.
Strong. Yeah, and there is still the trope. It's almost a mathematical equation. You can see a James Bond movie. There's he'll meet a woman in the first act. They'll have sex. She usually dies. She's usually not the main Bond girl. She's been painted gold. She's been drowned. She's this, that, or poison darted. Then he meets the true Bond girl. And usually he also meets the bad Bond girl in the first act too. They'll flirt like over a card game. Not do it usually.
Right.
And then
it's like,
then he'll like, oh, well, I'll go for that waitress who then gets poisoned to death.
Right.
And it's that trope of where it's the main character being like, oh, I need something to spurn me against this character. And it's a kind of dangerous.
And alongside that,
to kill a woman to do it.
Right. Well, and alongside that, I feel like we've seen almost a maturing of James Bond as a character himself. Mm-hmm. Like Daniel Craig's James Bond is so just up. You know what I mean? He's very aware. He's
got the quips, which you love, but they're also at the time there's a time for quips, and then there's a time for breaking a dude's neck in a stairwell.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I guess to me, it seems like he's almost grown up a little bit. And so has that relationship with the women in the series.
And that is the nice thing you get with the Daniel Craig movies, because they do happen within a timeline. You see him literally get his stripes as becoming a 00 agent. You see his first 2 kills.
Yeah.
And then to become that status, and then he matures as a character and as a ranking, kind of a ranking officer in MI6.
So let me ask you this then. Yeah. What do you want to see out of the future of this franchise? Because it could go a million directions. A great
ending to the Daniel Craig. Do it justice. They've done some great stuff. I do like the new Ray Fiennes, spoiler alert, takes over for M during the series, because Judi Dench was M for the first part of the Daniel Craig movie. She was the only holdover from the old Pierce Brosnan series.
Right.
She was great. Judi Dench is great. But Ray Fiennes is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's kind of playing harkening back to the original M, played by a gentleman. I want a really graceful, great ending to that. Then I want great wait a couple years, give us some great video games. Give us this GoldenEye 25.
Give like a real, and I hate to even think of it like this, but don't put half effort into the video game. Don't make it just a marketing tool. Actually,
don't EA it.
Yeah, don't EA the video game. Okay. Although I will say I've been playing Apex a little bit.
I heard great things.
It's a lot of fun.
So Apex and Anthology are just everyone's screaming.
Yeah, I haven't played Anthology. I'll have to check that out.
It's free.
But yeah.
Anyway, so what would you like to see from the future? We already talked that Evil Genius type game.
I mean, I would. Cool. First of all, I think that it would be awesome to see Idris Elba. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Idris Elba. Yeah, give us big casting like that, or give us kind of a nobody like Daniel Craig sort of was. At the time. I mean, he was somebody, but not.
I guess I just like Idris as an actor.
Oh, he's great,
and I feel like he has that gravitas that
and
he could
sexiness.
Yeah, and he could bring a new Bond to Bond. You know what I mean? And I don't think that there's anything in the Bond lore that makes him have to be a white guy. I could be wrong. I'm sure in the earlier ones
I read that Ian Fleming, when asked the description of him, he described him as Hoagie Carmichael, which is a famous British actor who's very kind of a gaunt, very debonair British white guy. Which is everybody wants Tom Hiddleston, because he is what they describe as like that kind of skinnier, wiry gauntness of a British aristocrat.
Or
a Michael Fassbender would be like a.
I guess my thing is I don't want them to diversify it for the sake of diversity.
Yeah, I
just like Idris Elba. Sure. I think he would make a killer Bond.
There's some amazing. Yeah,
I have a pet peeve with with movies doing things like that just for the sake of saying, look how diverse we are.
Especially in this day and age, it's like we're past that.
Right. Like I don't know, anyone in our generation anyway. Like
I hope to be past.
I feel like if I watch a movie that's super, super diverse, it reads the exact same to me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Like Star Wars, everybody pooped the bed.
Right. Well, but I guess my whole point with that is, as long as they aren't doing it for the wrong reasons, I think I would love to see him in that role.
What Ghostbusters fell under. They did it it was a little too late. Not saying that we didn't need, but they're like, why didn't we just have women in reboot Ghostbusters, but have a co-ed, have women in it, have other races than just white and black, let's do this. Have a 15-man team. Let's have a whole squad, kids, old, go. Let's do it.
Right.
If we're gonna do it.
And again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's I with movies specifically, don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to, I guess.
Just to try and save face.
And as far as the video games go, I think Eraser would be really fun.
VR.
But I think that there's a huge opportunity for a really, really good first-person shooter. Even if it's not a remake of GoldenEye, give us something new. Give us.
There are original books being written. That's another thing. Future of the franchise.
Oh, really?
There are authors. Many authors have taken over, and they continue to write books. And they're great apparently. But give us a whole fresh new story. Give us interaction. It could be not necessarily online, but there could be a multiplayer component, like a split screen. I would love to see some old school split screen.
Yeah, at least four player split screen.
We finally have the TVs for it, and they've stopped doing.
Right. And honestly, at this point, they could probably remake GoldenEye and have that be a DLC on one of those games. You know what I mean? It'd be so easy.
You could or I'll have all the maps as DLC, all the character skins, all the weapons, all the gadgets, cards.
Yeah.
You could make a mega game. Make a GTA style open world game where you're an agent in MI6 and you can get your car and you're dealing with Spectre agents.
Or to put it into more of a stealth game style where you have to actually plot. Gear. Yeah, like a little Metal Gear style where you actually have to, figure out your course and how you're going to do it, or kind of mix the two and go like Assassin's Creed route.
Sure.
Where if you want to go in loud, you can go in loud. If you want to go nice and quiet.
Because James Bond, 9 times out of 10 is going loud.
Right. But to give you that opportunity as the player as James Bond,
sure.
I think that'd be really cool.
That would be really cool.
You have some tech that you can pay using in-game points that you've earned from your kills.
Go to Q Gadget Labs.
And upgrade your laser watch or whatever it is. You're
an MI6 agent. You
exactly
utilize. Yeah,
yeah,
be dope.
Kind of just like the fun.
It could be in London. You can the whole thing could take place in London. That'd be great.
Or and I always go to this, and I will probably always go to this. Have it be sandbox too.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like get the location of the baddie, and
always
it's up to you. Yeah, and it's up to you on how to get there. I think that every game just needs to be sandbox at this point.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do it. We can get there.
Well, but thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It was a really awesome, and this will definitely be part 2. There's so much stuff. I have pages of probably the most notes I've taken that I didn't even get to.
Yeah, and a lot of these are going to have part 2, I'm sure.
Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. We're on iTunes, Spotify, all those
iTunes ratings help us out a ton.
And make sure you check out our Instagram, because like I said, we're going to be announcing a lot of upcoming events, any contests we have coming up, guests we might be having on, and we also, suggestions and upcoming episodes.
And if anybody if you have something that you're like, hey, I would love to see this as a giveaway for this episode that's coming up, let us know for sure. I mean, in
fact, one of the contests we're going to be running, I'm going to be taking a poll, and we'll be getting that. It'll be in a few episodes down the road, but you guys will see.
You guys will see.
Yeah, stay tuned.
But we really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. The next franchise we'll be unpacking is Halloween. But in the meantime, feel free to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or drop us a line with any questions, comments, or future episodes at franchiseunpacked@gmail.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, and be sure to share so we can keep these episodes coming your way. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.